The Christmas Letters, Celebrating Advent with Those Who Told the Story First, by Magrey, R. DeVega. Chapter 4, Fully Divine, Peace through Christ, pages 108 through 113. The first over all creation. Other translations of this text say that Jesus was the firstborn of all creation, but this is not about birth order, since Jesus was, in fact, God's only Son, according to John 3:16. Nor does it mean that Jesus was created, since this scripture and John 1 affirm that Jesus and God are one. To call Jesus the first over all creation means that the second person of the Trinity was there at the time of creation and is therefore evident in all creation. When we look at the beauty and mystery of the world around us, it points to the wonder and majesty of Jesus Christ. And when we look at Jesus, we discover God's presence, activity, and intention in the world. In the words of Eugene Peterson's translation of this verse, we look at this Son and see God's original purpose in everything created. That means that when Jesus was born, God became human, and the Creator became the created. This was not simply a sculptor chiseling away at marble to create a statue, or a seamstress stitching together a fashion statement, or an author typing out a masterpiece of fiction. This was the Creator becoming the created itself, so that in looking at Jesus, you see the presence and power of God. But then the lyrics become even more marvelous, because all things were created by Him, both in the heavens and on the earth, the things that are visible and the things that are invisible, whether they are thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things were created through Him and for Him. Colossians chapter 1, verse 16. Take a look at that last R. Not only did God, the Creator, become the created, but all things were also created through Jesus and for Jesus. That means that in some amazing and wondrous way, when Jesus was born, all of God's creative power and imagination assumed human form. In that infant child, in that tiny collection of freshly formed muscles and organs, skin cells and nerve endings, brain waves and heartbeats, was born the very conduit through which all of creation came into being. When Jesus took his first breath, he took into his lungs the very oxygen molecules that he first set into motion. When he first opened his eyes, he was flooded with the very light waves that he spoke into being on day one of creation. When he took in nourishment from his mother, he was receiving sustenance given with the same generosity that he provided for countless generations. In that infant, Jesus was all the creative agency, imagination, and history that this universe has ever seen and will ever see. He existed before all things. Now, if your mind isn't blown yet, or if you're scratching your head trying to make sense of all this, which is quite understandable, this is outstanding stuff to ponder. Let's do a bit of visualization exercise. It is a mental journey that can help us see how the God of the universe is fully revealed in the incarnation of Jesus, and the profound difference it can make in how we see ourselves. It is a journey that I would characterize in three movements: infinite, intimate, and incarnate. First, infinite. Pondering the vastness of the universe fills us with a mind-blowing sense of infinity, doesn't it? It is hard for us to even imagine what is at the edge of the universe or beyond, because as big as the universe is, it continues to expand. Even light waves emitted from the stars are expanding into an infrared wavelength beyond what the naked eye can see. That's the whole premise of the James Webb Space Telescope, and as powerful as it is, we can only see a portion of a universe that some estimate to be 93 to 94 billion light years wide. Our minds can't grasp a size that big. But here's something else that is equally mind-blowing. There is not only a sense of the infinite when we look out, there is also infinity when we look within. In his book Fundamentals, Frank Wilczek Zek writes that as hard as it is to imagine the number of stars in the universe, there are even more atoms in the human body. It is 10 octillion, which is 10 followed by 28 zeros. That is what is inside you. It is what makes up who you are, a collection of protons, neutrons, and electrons. There is literally a universe inside you. And just as there is a limit to what we can see beyond the edge of space, there is a limit to what we can see inside the atom. The further down we look, we get into the vast, unknown unpredictability of quarks, Higgs boson particles, quantum mechanics, and a reality that is infinitely small and unknowable. So whether we ponder the universe through Galileo's telescope, or ponder the infinitesimal through Antony van Leeuwenhoek's microscope, we reach the limits of our own understanding. Either way, a sense of the infinite offers this gift to us: a sense of wonder, awe, and an embrace of the mysteries of the world beyond our comprehension. Okay, so given the vastness of the universe around us and within us, let's take the next step in our visualization exercise. Intimate. As vast as the universe is out there and within you, here is something to remember. We are all intimately connected in this grand cosmos. Of the most abundant elements in the universe, 4 of the top 6 are nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, which is by far the most plentiful element. Now, do you want to know what the top 4 elements are that make up your body? Yep, the exact same ones: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen. What that means is that the very material that makes up your body makes up the same building blocks that God used to create the farthest planets and stars on the edge of the universe. The very atoms that were created 13.8 billion years ago are part of your body right now. No wonder you feel old. We are made of the stuff of the stars. You and I are made of stardust. Here's something else. The very oxygen molecules you are breathing right now have been around since the time of the dinosaurs. The components that make up the nitrogen molecule in your blood, they have arrived from a star millions of years ago. This is all to say that as infinite and daunting as the universe is, there is an intimacy in knowing that you and I are connected by the same material, governed by the same forces of gravity and electromagnetism, and created by the very God who became human in Jesus. The infinity of the universe might make us feel small, but the intimacy of its materials helps us not feel so alone. This all leads us to the final movement of this visualization exercise: incarnate. Throughout history, many religious philosophers believed in the idea of deism, which is that God is nothing more than an impersonal clockmaker who set forth the mechanics of creation and stepped away from it to leave it on its own. But as Christian people, we believe that God is not distant. God is both present and immanent in all things and beyond all things. We can know God by interacting with this marvelous world. And when God chose to be revealed to us in the most vivid way, you know what God chose to do? God entered the universe as a human being, composed of stardust, just like you and me. God showed us through Jesus the infinite glory of God in the most intimate of ways, by becoming incarnate to us. And God showed us how we can be an incarnate sense of love to one another.